Well, friends, we turn now for a few minutes to William Gurnall. You will remember that we are at the spiritual shield. Above all, Ephesians 6:16, taking the shield of faith, wherewith you shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. Now, we looked in the past weeks at the two ways in which faith resembles a shield. First of all, Gurnall said, it's like a shield because it's meant not just for the defense of one part of the body, as most other pieces are, but that it offers defense to the whole body. And we saw the way Satan attacks different parts of us, our conscience, our will, and our understanding, and so on. And faith is able to shield against that. But then the second reason we saw was that the second resemblance between faith and a shield is that not only does the shield defend the whole body, but it defends the soldier's other armour as well. It keeps from the arrow, from the helmet, as well as from the head. So it resembles a shield. Above all, he says, taking the shield of faith. Now, that's the next thing that Gurnall's going to tackle here. Why does it say above all? Above all. Well, he begins by pointing out that there are various views among interpreters as to what the phrase means. He begins by quoting one of the very early fathers of the church, a man called Jerome. And Jerome says, above all, taking the shield of faith means this: in all your duties, in all your enterprises, in all your temptations, or in all your afflictions, in whatever you are called to do or to suffer, take faith. End quote of Jerome. Well, says Gurnall, indeed, faith to the Christian is like fire to the chemist. Nothing can be done in the name of Christ without it. Without faith, it is impossible to please him. Hebrews 11:6. And how can the Christian please himself if he does not please God? So that's the first possibility in everything, in all that you do, and so on. Take faith. Then there's a second opinion. Others interpret it like this: overall, take the shield of faith as that which would cover all your graces. Every grace derives its safety from faith, and everyone lies secure under the shadow of faith, just like an army that's protected under the command of a strong castle that's been fitted with a mighty cannon. So that is the second view. Overall, that's the grace that covers the rest. But then Gurnall gives his own opinion, and it's different from either of them. Let me follow the translation, he says, that I feel is most comprehensive. Above all, take. That is, among all the pieces of armour which you are to wear for your defence, let this one be the one you purpose most earnestly to acquire in the first place, and having acquired it, you are most careful to keep it. We see then, following that understanding of the phrase, that the apostle compared faith to a shield because he meant to give it preeminence. Above all, take. And he points out that historically this was true. In olden times, the shield was prized by a soldier above every other piece of armor. He counted it a greater shame, actually, to lose his shield than even to lose the battle. And therefore, he wouldn't part with the shield even if he was under the foot of the enemy. He would keep it. He would hold on to it because it was a shameful thing to lose it. He esteemed it an honor, in fact, to die with a shield in his hand. And he quotes a charge which one mother put on her son before going into war. And this sounds strange to our ears, but it's the way things were. This is the mother speaking. Either bring your shield home with you, or be brought home upon your shield. She would rather have seen her son dead with his shield than alive without it. Now, we may disagree with that, and we probably would. We're not commending her, it's simply quoting her. This is what she said, and this is how they looked on these things. It had a preeminence. The apostle further attached another noble effect to faith. We are commanded to take the girdle of truth, the breastplate of righteousness, and so on, but we're not actually told what they're going to do. Take them, take this, take the girdle, take the breastplate. Don't forget it, don't leave it at home. But he doesn't enlarge on it. He doesn't say, take the breastplate of righteousness in order that it may do this or may do that. When he speaks of faith, he does tell us what it's going to do. He ascribes, in fact, the whole victory to it. It's faith that quenches all the fiery darts of the wicked. And why is this true, says Gurnall? Are the other graces useless? Does faith do everything? Well, if so, why do we need the others at all? Why must the Christian arm himself with more than this one piece? Well, says Gurnall, he has a balanced approach to it. He says every piece has its vital place in the Christian's warfare. Otherwise, it wouldn't be there. No one part can be spared. But the reason that no single effect is attributed to each one of these in the way that it's attributed to faith is to let us know that these graces, their power and the benefit from them must operate in conjunction with faith. Plainly, says Gurnall, it is the design of God's Spirit to give faith the preeminence above all those graces entrusted to our keeping. But of course, the pendulum swings one way or another. And then, having said that, and having said that faith has a preeminence, he has to utter a caution, of course. Be careful not to become indifferent or careless about the other ones. Just because you are, and I'm quoting him here, more excited about getting and keeping this one. Could we warn a soldier to beware of a wound in his heart, but forget to guard his head? Of course not. Truly, he says, we would deserve cracked heads to cure us of such foolishness. So there is this preeminence of faith. Above all, take the shield of faith wherewith you shall be able to quench the fiery darts of the wicked. He then goes on to just say a little bit more about that, and I'll deal with the next 2 or 3 paragraphs anyway. I may leave it there. The heading here is the preeminence of faith among other graces. Of all graces, according to Gurnall, faith is the most important. The Christian must fight to keep it because there is a preeminence peculiar to it. It is, he says, among graces what the sun is among the planets, or as Solomon's virtuous woman among the daughters. But then he anticipates a question. What about 1 Corinthians 13? There, the apostle gives precedence to love and sets faith on a lower level. Now abides faith, hope, and love, or charity, these 3. The greatest of these is charity. Here he's placing love before faith, but it points to the saints' blissful home in heaven. That at least is his understanding of it, where love remains and faith in its ordinary operation in this world disappears. It continues in the sense of trust and dependence and looking on the Lord, but the operation of it is undoubtedly different. In that regard, love is greater because it is the end of our faith. We see by faith so that we may enjoy by love. But we're not in heaven. And before the Christian can enjoy heaven's reward, he must live in a spiritually militant state here on earth. And from this present, here now, practical perspective, love gives way to faith. Oh, it is true that love is the grace which will triumph in heaven. But it's faith, not love, which is the conquering grace on earth. 1 John 5:4. This is the victory that overcometh the world, even our faith. Not our love, but our faith. Oh, love has its place in battle and it contends valiantly. Nobody is denying it. But it moves under faith, its leader. Galatians 5:6. Faith which worketh by love. Even as the captain fights by his soldiers whom he leads, so faith works by the love which it arouses. Well, that was quite a telling phrase. Faith works by the love which it arouses. Love is the grace which ultimately possesses the inheritance. It is indeed, but it is faith that gives the Christian the right to it. Without faith, you would never enjoy it. Love is the grace which unites God and the glorified saints in heaven, but it's faith which first unites them to Christ while they're in the world. I think, again, that is a very telling answer to the objection. Love is the grace that unites God and the glorified saints in heaven, but it is faith that first unites them to Christ while they are in the world. Ephesians 3:17, we read it a minute ago, that Christ may dwell in your hearts by faith. And if Christ never dwells in them by faith on earth, well, they'll never dwell in love, in God, heaven. So he's dealt with that objective there. Now, he then goes on to give a number of reasons why faith is preeminent, and there are at least three. In fact, there are four. My intention had been to take the first one tonight, but I think I will actually leave it there. I don't want to weary you. And I think we've reached a good junction just to pause. And if we're spared, we shall take it up again at that particular point.